Hi everybody! Today we take a look at the ground vehicles available in War Thunder at Tier 6 of the Italian Tach Tree. We will specifically talk about the medium tanks and premiums. If you want to see vehicles from the previous tiers, click on the right upper corner. This is the OF40 Mk.2A. You can find this vehicle at Tier 6 at BR 8.7. It has a 4-man crew, commander, driver, gunner and loader. Its whole armor is 50mm thick for the lower glacis, 70mm thick for the upper glacis, while the front of the turret is between 30 and 68mm, while the gun mantlet is 30 plus 45mm. It is armed with the 105mm OTO-Melara 105-52 cannon, one coaxial 7.62 FN Mag 6040 and one roof-mounted 12.7mm M2HB machine gun. The main gun is able to fire the Mk.2A APDS armor-piercing discarding sable shot, the M393A2 high-explosive squashed shell, the M456 hit FS high-explosive anti-tank fin stabilized, and the DM23 APFSDS armor-piercing fin stabilized discarding sable shot. After a few years that the OF40 was in service with the UAE, they highlighted some problems, so OTO-Melara and Fiat created the OF40 Mk.2A. This version brought a few new upgrades tailor-made for the UAE and operational life in the desert. A few of these were the new optics, new laser rangefinder and the addition of a 2-plane stabilizer. All of the 18 OF40 already in service with the UAE were upgraded to the Mk.2 standard, and other 18 Mk.2A were delivered. Next up is the Leopard 1A5. You can find this vehicle at Tier 6 at BR 9.0. It has a 4-man crew, commander, driver, gunner and loader. Its whole armor is 50mm thick for the lower glacis, 70mm thick for the upper glacis, while the front of the turret and the mantlet is between 45 and 120mm thick, with additional armor between 10 and 35mm. It is armed with the 105mm L7A3 cannon, one coaxial and one roof-mounted 7.62mm MG3A1 machine gun. The main gun is able to fire the DM12 ITFS high-explosive anti-tank fin stabilized shell, the DM502 high-explosive squashed shell, the DM23 and the M33 APFS DS armor-piercing fin stabilized discarding sable shot. The Italian Leopard 2A5 entered service with the army in 1971, using a modified Leopard 1A2 hull and a new turret, and it was preferred over Italian-made modifications such as the Leopard 1A1 Thetis. It was used by Italy in several peacekeeping missions, such as the one in the Balkans, where it proved its worth. Starting in 1995, the Leopard 1A5 started to be replaced by the new generation Italian-made C1 Ariete NBT and put out of service quickly. A few of these tanks were transformed into static display, but the majority was sent to the Italian military graveyard of Lenta. A part of these were later brought back to life and sold to Brazil. The last vehicle in the medium tank line for today is the Ariete P. You can find this vehicle at Tier 6 at BR 10.0. It has a 4-man crew, commander, driver, gunner and loader. Its whole armor is 50mm thick for the lower glacis, while the spaced armor on the upper glacis offer between 30 and 40mm of protection against chemical rounds. The turret cheeks offer between circa 380 and 400mm against kinetic rounds and between 520 and 600mm against chemical. The gun mantlet is instead between 175 and 400mm. It is armed with the 120mm Odo Breda 120-44 cannon, one coaxial and one roof-mounted 7.62mm Mk.2A machine gun. The main gun is able to fire the DM-12A1 ITFS high-explosive anti-tank fin-stabilized shell, the DM-23 and DM-33 APFS-DS armor-piercing fin-stabilized discarding sabot shot. The Ariete Pre-Serie was an early prototype of the C1 Ariete used for testing. It was created out of the need of replacing the American-made MTCA-1 and the German-made Leopards. After a long development, the Pre-Serie was showed for the first time in La Spezia in 1987. One of these Ariete was also tested against the MTCA-1 and the Leopard 1A5, and obviously it surpassed them by a long shot. Once the first batch of the protection C1 Ariete rolled out of the factory, all of the Pre-Serie MBT were moved to the Italian military graveyard of Lenta. The last vehicle for today is the only available premium, the OF40 MTCA. You can find this vehicle at Tier 6 at BR 9.0. It has a 4-man crew, commander, driver, gunner and loader. Its whole armor is 50mm thick for the lower glacis, 70mm for the upper glacis, while the front of the turret is between 30 and 68mm, while the gun mantlet is 30 plus 45mm. It is armed with the 105mm OTO-Melara 105-52 cannon, one coaxial 7.62 FN Mag 6040 and one roof-mounted 12.7mm M2 HB machine gun. The main gun is able to fire the M392A2 APDS armor-piercing discarding sabot shot, the M393A2 Hash high-explosive squashed shell, the M456 HIT-FS high-explosive anti-tank fin-stabilized, and the DM-23 APFS-DS armor-piercing fin-stabilized discarding sabot shot. The creation of this version of the OF40 was out of the complaint of the UAE for the mobility of the Italian MBT, so Fiat offered the new MTCA V12 1000 horsepower engine. Fiat also offered to upgrade the OF40 Mk.2A engine to 950 horsepower, but looks like none of the two options were ever retrofitted to the UAE tanks.